Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It is another beautiful day to be alive. All praise to the Most High Yah. We're going to dive right back into His Holy Scriptures, right back where we left off at. So go ahead and get your swords, get your drinks, get your pens, papers, markers, whatever it is that you need to study. We're going to pick right back up at chapter 41, Genesis chapter 41, that is. The last time we studied, we left off at Genesis chapter 40. Remember, we had studied on the power of deception, right? And where we left off in chapter 40, Joseph had interpreted the dreams of King Pharaoh's cupbearer and chief baker. And he told, his interpretation of their dreams came to be. And so the chief cupbearer was restored back to his position under the king. However, the chief baker was hung as Joseph had interpreted. So we're going to pick back up at chapter 41. Genesis 41. And it came to be at the end of 2 years' time that Pharaoh had a dream and saw him standing by the river, and saw 7 cows coming up out of the river, fine looking and fat, and they fed amongst the reeds. Then saw 7 other cows coming up after them out of the river, ugly and lean of flesh, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the river. And the ugly and lean of flesh cows ate up the 7 fine-looking and fat cows. Then Pharaoh awoke. And he slept and dreamed a second time, and saw 7 heads of grain coming up on one stalk, plump and good, and saw 7 lean heads scorched by the east wind coming up after them. And the 7 lean heads swallowed the 7 plump and complete heads. Then Pharaoh awoke and saw it was a dream. And it came to be in the morning that his spirit was moved, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Mitzrayim, which is Egypt, and all its wise men. And Pharaoh related to them his dreams, but there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer spoke to Pharaoh, saying, I remember my crimes this day, when Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in confinement in the house of the captain of the guard, both me and the chief baker. Each one of us dreamed a dream in one night, he and I. Each of us dreamed according to the interpretation of his own dream. And there was with us an Ibri, which is in Hebrew, youth, a servant of the captain of the guard. And we related to him, and he interpreted our dreams for us. To each man he interpreted according to his own dream. And it came to be as he interpreted for us, so it came to be. He restored me to my office, and he hanged him. Then Pharaoh sent. Okay, so here the chief cupbearer is telling King Pharaoh what Joseph had done as far as interpreting their dreams, and how his interpretation of their dreams had actually came to be. Verse 14. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they hurriedly brought him out of the dungeon. And he shaved and changed his garments and came to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. Now I myself have heard it said of you, that you understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. Let Elohim answer Pharaoh with peace. So Joseph is telling Pharaoh that it is not I, it is Elohim in me. Verse 17. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, See, in my dream I stood in the bank of the river, and saw 7 cows coming up out of the river, fine looking and fat, and they fed amongst the reeds. Then I saw 7 other cows coming up after them, poor and very ugly, and lean of flesh, such ugliness as I have never seen in all of the land of Mitzrayim. And the lean of flesh and ugly cows ate up the first 7, the fat cows. Yet when they had eaten them up, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were as ugly as at the beginning. Then I awoke. Also I looked in my dream and saw 7 heads coming up one stalk, complete and good. Then saw 7 heads withered lean, scorched by the east wind, coming up after them. And the lean head swallowed the 7 good heads. And I spoke to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. Verse 25. And Joseph said to Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh is one. Elohim has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years. The 7 good heads are 7 years. It is one dream. And the 7 lean and ugly cows, which came up after them, are 7 years, and the 7 empty heads scorched by the east wind are 7 years of scarcity of food. This is the word which I spoke to Pharaoh. Elohim has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. See, 7 years of great plenty are coming in all the land of Mitzrayim, but after them 7 years of scarcity of food shall arise, and all the plenty be forgotten in the land of Mitzrayim. And the scarcity of food shall destroy the land. And the plenty shall not be remembered in the land because of the scarcity of food following, for it is very severe. And the dream was repeated to Pharaoh twice, because the word is established by Elohim, and Elohim is hastening to do it. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man, and appoint him over the land of Mitzrayim. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint overseers over the land, to take up 1/5 of the land of Mitzrayim in the 7 years of plenty. And let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming, and store up grain under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And the food shall be for a store for the land for the 7 years of scarcity of food, which shall be in the land of Mitzrayim. And do not let the land be cut off by the scarcity of food. Wow. So here, Joseph is recommending to King Pharaoh that during the good years, the 7 good years of plentiful, that he go ahead and gather food to store for the 7 years of scarcity to follow. And see that the Most High gives us a sign and a warning, it is for us to prepare. It is his favor to us to prepare for what is to come. So don't ignore the warnings or the signs when the Most High gives them to you. Take heed to them and prepare. Verse 37, And the word was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, Could we find another like him, a man in whom is the Ruach of Elohim? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Since Elohim has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. Be over my house, you yourself, and at your word all my people shall be equipped. Only in the throne I am greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, See, I have appointed you over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh took his seal ring off his hand and put it on Joseph's hand. And he dressed him in garments of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. And he had him ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried out before him, Bow the knee, and he appointed him over all the land of Mitzrayim. Wow. So King Pharaoh has found favor in Joseph and has appointed him over all the land of Mitzrayim. Verse 44, and Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without you let no man lift his hand or foot in all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Saphnath Paneah, and he gave him as a wife Asnath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Mitzrayim. Wow. Verse 46. Now Joseph was 36 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Mitzrayim. And in the 7 years of plenty, the ground brought forth generously. And he gathered all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Mitzrayim, and laid up the food in the cities. And he laid up in every city the food of the fields which surrounded them. Thus Joseph gathered very much grain as the sand of the sea, until he ceased counting, for it was without number. And to Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of scarcity of food came, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bore to him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh. Forgive me if I'm not saying that correctly. For Elohim has made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second he called Ephraim. For Elohim has caused me to bear fruit in the land of my affliction. Praise God. So here Joseph, where he originally started off captive in Mitzrayim, now he is the overseer. He is King Pharaoh's second in charge. He is second in charge after King Pharaoh of all the land of Mitzrayim. And so that's why he says in verse 52, for Elohim has caused me to bear fruit in the land of my affliction. Verse 53, and the 7 years of plenty which were in the land of Mitzrayim came to an end, and the 7 years of scarcity of food began to come. And as Joseph had said, and the scarcity of food was in all lands, but in all the land of Mitzrayim there was bread. And this is because he had prepared and had stored up the food. Verse 55, but when all the land of Mitzrayim hungered, and the people cried to Pharaoh for bread, Pharaoh said to all the Mishrites, go to Joseph, do whatever he says to you. And the scarcity of food was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to Mitzrites. And the scarcity of food was severe in the land of Mitzrayim. And all the earth came to Joseph in Mitzrayim to buy grain, because the scarcity of food was severe in all the earth. Chapter 42. And when Yaakov, which is Jacob, saw that there was grain in Mitzrayim, Yaakov said to his sons, why do you look at each other? And he said, see, I have heard that there is grain in Mitzrayim. Go down to that place and buy for us there, and let us live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brothers went down to buy grain in Mitzrayim. But Yaakov did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin with his brothers, for he said, lest some harm come to him. So the sons of Israel, which is also Yaakov, right? And the sons of Israel went to buy grain among those who journeyed, for the scarcity of food was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed down before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brothers and recognized them, but he acted as a stranger to them and spoke to them harshly and said to them, "Where do you come from?" And they said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." So Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he had dreamed about them. Wow. And said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of this land." And they said to him, "No, my master, but your servants have come to buy food. We are all one man's sons. We are trustworthy. Your servants are not spies." But he said to them, "No, but you have come to see the nakedness of the land." And they said, "Your servants are 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And see, the youngest is with our father today, and one is no more." Wow. And Joseph said to them, "It is as I spoke to you, saying, you are spies. By this you shall be proven. By the life of Pharaoh, you do not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you and let him bring your brother while you are kept in prison. Let your words be proven to see whether there is any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh you are spies." And he put them all together in prison for 3 days. Now Joseph said to them the third day, "Do this and live, for I revere Elohim. If you are trustworthy, let one of your brothers be confined to your prison house, and you go, bring grain for the scarcity of food of your houses. And bring your youngest brother to me, and let your words be confirmed, and you do not die." And so they did. So Joseph, he knows that these are his brothers, but he's telling them, he's accusing them to be spies, because he wants them to go and get their younger brother, the one that Benjamin that they left behind with their father, Israel. And so he's telling them, do this and to prove that you are telling me the truth. Verse 20, "And bring your youngest brother to me, and let your words be confirmed, and you do not die." And so they did. And they said to each other, "Truly we are guilty concerning our brother, for we saw the distress of his life when he pleaded with us, yet we did not listen. That is why this distress has come upon us." And Reuben answered them, saying, "Did I not speak to you, saying, do not sin against the boy, and you would not listen? And see, his blood is now required of us." And they did not know that Joseph understood them, for he spoke to them through an interpreter. And he turned himself away from them and wept, but came back to them and spoke to them. And he took Shimon from them and bound him before their eyes. And Joseph commanded that they filled their sacks with grain, also to put back every man's silver into his sack, and to give them food for the journey. And thus it was done for them. So here Reuben is saying to his brother, see, this is happening to us because of what we did to our brother. Even though I told you guys, let's not do this, and you did not listen, and now his blood is required of us. And so Joseph know that Reuben is talking about what they had actually done to Joseph, before they threw him in the pit to be sold to the Mizrites. And so Joseph knows what they're talking about. And so that's why he turns his back to them and weeps, so that they don't see that he understands them. But nonetheless, Joseph go ahead and gives the command, and they filled their sacks with grain, also to put back every man's silver into his sack, and to give him food for the journey. And thus it was done for them. Verse 26. So they loaded their donkeys with grain and went from there. And as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his silver, for there it was in the mouth of his sack. And he said to his brother, My silver has been returned, and there it is in my sack. And their hearts sank, and they were afraid, saying to each other, what is this that Elohim has done to us? So they came to Yaakov their father in the land of Canaan, and reported to them all that befell them, saying, the man, the master of the land, spoke to us harshly, and took us for spies in the land. But we said to him, we are trustworthy, we are not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is today with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the master of the land, said to us, by this I know that you are trustworthy. Leave one of your brothers here with me, and take food for scarcity of food to your household, and go. And bring your youngest brother to me. Then I know that you are not spies, but that you are trustworthy. I give your brother to you, and you move about in the land. And it came to be, as they emptied their sacks, that look, the bundle of each man's silver was in his sack. And when they and their father saw the bundles of silver, they were afraid. And Yaakov their father said to them, you have bereaved me. Joseph is no more, and Shimon is no more. And you would take Benjamin? All this is against me. So Reuben spoke to his father, saying, take the lives of my 2 sons, if I do not bring them back to you. Put them in my hands, and I myself bring him back to you. So Reuben is telling his father, no, I'm going to bring Shimon and Benjamin back. I'm not going to let anything happen to them. And if anything happens, you can take my 2 sons. 38. But he said, my son is not going down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If any harm should come to him along the way in which you go, then you would bring down my gray hair with sorrow to the grave. So here, Yaakov is saying, no, you're not taking my son with you. Because if anything happens to him, I wouldn't be able to take it. Chapter 43. But scarcity of the food was severe in the land, and it came to be, when they had eaten up the grain which they had brought from Mitzrayim, that their father said to them, go back, buy us a little food. But Yehudah spoke to him, saying, the man vehemently warned us, saying, you do not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you let our brother go with us, we go down and buy you food. But if you do not let him go, we do not go down, because the man said to us, you do not see my face unless your brother is with you. And Yisrael said, why did you do evil to me to inform the man that you still had a brother? And they said, the man kept asking about us and our relatives, saying, is your father still alive? Have you a brother? And we informed him according to these words. How could we know that he would say, bring your brother down? And Yehudah said to Israel, his father, send the boy with me, and let us arise and go, and live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. And I myself shall stand guarantor for him. From my hand you are to require him. If I do not bring him back to you and put him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. So now Yehudah is telling his father Israel, Father, please allow Benjamin to go with me, and so that we can live and not die. I stand here, and I guarantee you that I will bring him back. And if not, I'll take the blame forever. But nonetheless, they are telling their father that they can't go back to Mitzrayim without their brother, because Joseph told them this before they left. Verse 10, for if we have not delayed, truly by now we could have returned this second time. And their father Israel said to them, if so, then do this. Take some of the best fruit of the land in your vessels, and bring a present down for the man, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, nuts and almonds. And take double silver in your hand, and take back in your hand the silver that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. It could have been a mistake. So he's saying, okay, you can go. Take with you some fruit, a little balm, honey, spices, myrrh, nuts, and almonds, some silver. Take back the silver that was in your sack, because that maybe Joseph didn't mean to put that in the sack. Verse 13, and take your brother and arise and go back to the man. And El Shaddai give to you compassion before the man, so that he shall release your other brother and Benjamin. And if I am bereaved, I am bereaved. So he said, go. He's given them his permission to go. Verse 15, and the man took that present and Benjamin, and they took double the amount of silver in their hand, and arose and went down to Mitzrayim and stood before Joseph. And Joseph saw Benjamin with them, and said to the one over his house, bring the men home, and make a great slaughter, and prepare, for these men are to eat with me at noon. And the man did as Joseph said, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house, and they said, Is it because of the silver which was put back into our sacks the first time, that we are brought in to throw himself upon us and fall upon us, to take us as slaves, our donkeys too? So they came near to the man over the house of Joseph, and spoke to him at the door of the house, and said, O my master, we indeed came down the first time to buy food, but it came to be, when we came to the lodging place, that we opened our sacks and saw each man's silver in the mouth of his sack, our silver in its weight. And we have brought it back in our hand, and we have brought down other silver in our hands to buy food. We do not know who put our silver in our sacks. But he said, Peace be with you, do not be afraid. Your Elohim, the Elohim of your father, has given you treasure in your sacks. Your silver had come to me. And he brought Shimon out to them. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet and gave their donkeys fodder. And they made the present ready for Joseph's coming at noon, for they had heard that they were to eat there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed down before him to the earth. And he asked them about their welfare, and he said, Is your father well, the old man whom you spoke of? Is he still alive? And they said, Your servant, our father, is in good health. He is still alive. And they bowed their heads down and did obeisance. And he lifted his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your youngest brother, of whom you spoke to me? And he said, Elohim show favor to you, my son. And Joseph hurried, for his emotions were deeply moved towards his brother, and he looked to weep, and went into his room and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out and controlled himself, and said, Serve the food. And they placed him by himself, and they placed him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Mishrites who ate with him by themselves. For the Mishrites could not eat food with the Ebrim, for that is an abomination of the Mishrites. Wow. And they set before him the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at each other in astonishment. And he took portions to them from before him. But Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. And they feasted and they drank with him. Wow. So we're going to stop here. So we've learned that Joseph's father, Yisrael, which is Hebrew for Israel, Joseph's father, Yisrael, and his brothers, they have scarcity in their land. And so they come down to Mitzrayim to buy food. And unknowingly, their brother Joseph is the man that is in charge of all the land of Mitzrayim. And they don't recognize him. Wow. But he recognizes them. And so at this point, he sent them back to their land to get their brother, their youngest brother, which they had left behind, Benjamin. And now he's prepared this great feast for them in his home. And he's asking about his father and his welfare. And Joseph is just trying to control himself and control his emotions, because for the first time in a long time, he's amongst his brothers. He sees them; they're all alive and well, and so it's an emotional time for him as they sit down to have a feast in his home. And still, they don't recognize him. So we're gonna stop here, and then we'll pick back up at chapter 44 when we return. Okay. And so before we leave, I always like to tie in our reading for today into a lesson that we can walk away with and just resonate with and contemplate on, and just reading how before this started off with Joseph having a dream and sharing his dreams with his brothers and his father and his mother on how he was, in fact, going to be over them in some capacity, right? And so fast forward to where we are now, that dream has came to be, where they are coming up from the land to buy food from Joseph, because Pharaoh has put him in charge of all the land of Mitzrayim. And the same thing with the dreams that that Elohim gave to the cupbearers and the chief baker, and then the dream that Elohim gave to Pharaoh. We've learned how the Most High gives us warnings and he gives us signs, and he gives us the information we need to prepare for what is to come. He provides for our every need if we just go to him, right? If we just go to him and ask him what it is that he requires of us, what it is that he wants us to do with this, or what it is that he wants us to do with that. And he will give us that instruction. He will give us that guidance. And so that's what I walk away with today in today's lesson, in today's studies. That's what resonates with me, just knowing that whether it's how we're going to provide for our families, how we're going to pay our bills, right? What you should be praying for, what to say to someone, should you make that phone call, whatever the task is at hand, or whatever it is that you're struggling with, or whatever it is that you're battling with, take it to the Most High, take it to him, because he will guide us. He will give us that instruction. In many cases, he's already given it to us. We probably missed it, right? We probably overlooked it. And go to him. He'll help you circle back to that answer, that way that he wants us to go. Okay, so when we come back, we'll pick back up at chapter 44. Okay, and so until the next time we reconvene, I love you, and I pray that you dwell in the presence of the Most High throughout the rest of your day. And I pray that your day is as beautiful as this morning has been. And until the next time, I love you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.